This is the Moonlight Graham Show, a freewheeling conversation with the role players, the underdogs, and guys with flat-out great stories in sports.
Hello and welcome back to the Moonlight Graham Show. In our episode today, we are sneaking it in right before the Super Bowl because I got this guy in my office. His name is John Doty. He's 6'7", got broad shoulders. You can tell that this guy was an athlete. And I had known that he played high school football at Dowling Catholic in West Des Moines, where he was a really great tight end. And I had also known that he had went down to Kansas State, where they moved him from tight end to offensive lineman, and he was a starting lineman at Kansas State for the better part of his career under Bill Snyder down there. What I didn't know, and what I just found out a couple of years ago, that John Doty also spent time in NFL Europe and in the NFL with the Carolina Panthers, with the New York Giants, and most importantly, with the New England Patriots. And of course, with Tom Brady playing in his 10th Super Bowl this year, I thought it'd be really fun to talk to this guy in my office, John Doty, who spent 2 months with the Patriots as part of their offensive line, working with Tom Brady in mini camp and in off-season activities. And this was 15 years ago. But I wanted to talk to John about what his brief experience with Bill Belichick and with Tom Brady, what that was like, and if it really stood out from everything else that he experienced as a lineman, especially with, the Panthers or the Giants or even in college with Kansas State. In 2 months with Tom Brady, does he make such an impression that you can tell why this guy is the GOAT, why this guy is the greatest of all time, or not? I don't know. That's why I wanted to get John Doty on the podcast. I think it's a great little moonlighter story because every office in America probably has, that one guy that played minor league baseball or that guy that played with Tom Brady and a story like that. And so here's mine. This is today's moonlighter, John Doty. Enjoy the Super Bowl. Enjoy today's impromptu episode. Thanks, moonlighters. So, John, after your time at Kansas State, you spent time in NFL Europe. You spent time with the Carolina Panthers, the New York Giants, but then also a brief time with the Patriots, the New England Patriots, right in the middle of their dynasty. When you get the call from the Patriots to come on board and be a part of that organization, does it feel different, or is it just, at that point, just another stop for you?
Well, for me personally, at that time, it was just not another stop, but another opportunity. But once you get there, it's different. It's obviously the best. Obviously this year not the best, but for 2+ decades, always in the mix of things, always winning their division/conference. So once you get there, you see why. I mean, it's everything is on a schedule. Expectations are meant to be exceeded. And I think that's, why you see that successfulness and doesn't help. It didn't hurt that they had Tom Brady for, however many years they had Tom Brady for. So
did it feel different as soon as you stepped in the door? Because you also spent time with the Giants, and the Giants, that's a pretty well-run organization too. But there was just an obvious big difference from even New York to New England.
There was definitely structure with the Giants. Tom Coughlin was there. He was an old school guy, where if you were 5 minutes early, you were late kind of thing. The clocks were set ahead, like 5 minutes.
Right.
But the overall difference, I mean, right when I walked in, I mean, it was, we're here for football, even when it was a summer / mini camp program going on. I mean, you put your stuff in your hotel room, get to the complex, and you're your nose deep in the playbook, and you're out walking through walkthroughs. And so, yeah, it is one of those things. I'm sure, most organizations do that, but just the way that they do it and expect you to be there and ready to go was definitely different.
What was your first interaction with Belichick like?
I mean, I will tell you, as an offensive lineman, whether I was at Kansas State or the organization within the NFL, you really don't deal with the head coach that much. Usually if you are dealing with it, it's probably not a good thing. You're usually getting yelled at because you're not protecting your quarterback or you've missed the block for your running back. Personally, not too many, but when you see him in the press conference, he's kind of stone-faced and kind of stone cold to the media. Really, that's what he is in team meetings. He's, hey guys, this is how it is. That's what we're going to do today. no BS going on today. Let's get this done. Let's get our work in and go home kind of thing. So not too many personal aspects. I mean, even when I was with Kansas State, Coach Snyder, I had some, but usually head coach, when you're offensive lineman, you're not dealing with the head coach much. And like I said before, it's usually not the best of times when you are.
Was your O-line coach Dante Scarnecchia? Was he at New England then while you were there?
Yes. Yep. He was there.
They talk about him like he's the secret to the Patriots' success.
I would say so. They've had some guys that obviously made some Pro Bowls and All Pro, but if you look at what they have, it's just a guy that's able to coach 5 guys up and work as a unit. That's really what offensive linemen do. It takes a lot of so-called average guys, and if you're blocking for Tom Brady, you can't be average. So, I think he has been for a long time. I think he even took a hiatus for 3 years, and I think they kind of had a little dip in protection of Tom, and he came back out of retirement. So, I think like anything, his product kind of proves how good he is.
So you were only there for 2 months, through June and July of 2006. Is Tom Brady at mini camp? Is he doing the off-season stuff with you guys?
Oh yeah. I mean, I can tell you through Delhomme, Manning, Brady, they're always there. Always trying to get better. Even when they're not taking the reps, obviously they, especially in mini camps, they're probably not taking as many reps, obviously they would in the season, but they're always focused, always teaching up guys. You get those media saying, Favre didn't coach up Rodgers and stuff like that. Always trying to help guys out, even other positions. So, he was always there doing his job, even though, he's a special kind of guy, especially in the NFL.
People talk about Brady's work ethic, but at the same time, there's so many guys that work hard, right? There's so many guys like you mentioned Eli Manning with the Giants and Jake Delhomme, went to a Super Bowl with the Panthers. A lot of guys work really, really hard. Did Brady stand out to you? I mean, this was 15 years ago, but at that time, did Brady stand out to you as like, this guy is just doing it a little bit different than everybody else?
I mean, not really, but I would say, just like I said a little bit ago, when we're in the workouts, the heat of the summer, doing conditioning, you definitely hear his voice, whether it's pushing each other, joking with other guys, saying, making a little competition, whether it's with quarterbacks or a running back or wide receiver. So I wouldn't say that work ethic isn't, anything different than I've ever seen. But definitely the leadership you can see on a day-to-day basis like I said, whether it's a small conditioning drill or, full team practice.
Did he yell at you?
Not that I remember. I think if he did, I would remember that. At least I could tell my daughters and friends, at least I got yelled at by him. But, you see him on TV, fiery, I'm sure in practices, he can be that way, but I think it's more game day. He expects things to be ran like they were in practice. So I think that's obviously where you get a little bit of the fieriness. But I didn't see anything out of line with anybody else. There definitely always is some yelling going on with football practices and things like that, but nothing out of the ordinary.
What's it like for you now? This is 15 years later, essentially, since your football career has wrapped up, and you still have a guy like Tom Brady that is out there playing in the Super Bowl, and, he's still playing at, almost as good as he's ever played. As a guy, like, you're a little bit younger than Tom Brady, actually. What's that like for you to turn on the TV and see him still out there?
I think I speak for a lot of people. It's pretty impressive,
Yeah.
Whatever he's 42, 41, 42, 43, pretty impressive. Obviously there's a lot of dedication to his craft. Heck, I'm 39 here in a month, and I wake up with aches and pains and barely can get out of bed to do daily activities. So there's a lot of dedication that he's taken to make sure his body's prepared, obviously, for games and practices. But I also think, you got to give some kudos, obviously, like I was saying before, to offensive line and pass. If you look at games that Brady plays in, he doesn't get hit a lot. That's, obviously the offense and schemes kind of help out with that. But, aside from, 2008 when he kind of got a dirty hit and tore his ACL, the guy's never been hurt. Granted, I'm sure his body aches But it's impressive the way that he's obviously performing a top notch. He's in the Super Bowl with a team that hasn't sniffed a Super Bowl in a long time. So it's pretty impressive to watch on a Sunday because I watch a lot of football on Sunday, and it's pretty impressive to watch him go out there and be successful and really he definitely is that coach on the field.
Is he one of the guys, or is he viewed more like one of the coaches?
I would say when I was playing, he's probably one of the guys. He was still 15 years ago, whatever that makes him, 30-ish. Probably now I would say probably more of a coach-like. It just happens that can sling the rock really well. And
right.
knows every defense. You're not going to fool Tom Brady. He's been around way too long. There's no defense or scheme that he hasn't seen. So, I think it's a little combination now. I think kind of at his tail end. I say tail end of his career. Who knows how long it's going to last going forward. But I think it's probably a pretty good mix these days.
John, when you were playing, you played a lot of high-level football, and you played with a bunch of guys. You saw a lot of really talented guys. Who was like the most talented guy that you saw but never really made it in the NFL?
Oh gosh, that's a tough question. I really don't know. I thought you were going to go with who's the freakish guy that was scary to line up against. A couple guys. Julius Peppers and Strahan were, those are guys that you just, as big as I am, they're big, and you're just like, holy cow. Julius Peppers, I mean, he was a freak. I mean, you talk about a guy that, is going to go to the Hall of Fame in the NFL, probably could have went, lottery pick in the NBA,
right?
And probably would have been successful there. So, as far as guys that I didn't think or should have panned out, it's hard to say. I'm sure there's a lot of them. I like to think of myself in that category as well, but it is. I think the stats are out there. However many people have been, able to go to the NFL, I think 1%, 2%, 3% really, stick on to it. So there's tons of people I probably not able to come to mind, but definitely should have had a little bit better opportunity.
Did you keep anything? Did you keep anything from New England, New York, Carolina?
No. I had a hat that I got from the Patriots that I used, after my time there for workouts and stuff like that. It was kind of foolly. I don't have a lot of hair, but I was a typical offensive lineman, had it down to the shoulder. So a hat during a workout came in handy. But heck, I don't know. I probably sweated that thing out, and it's probably disgusting and probably thrown away. But not really. Usually, it's kind of cliche, but the memories, I think are really the things that really last the longest, and, the guys that you meet along the way, but nothing, as far as materials that I can come to the top of my head that I was like, oh my gosh, yeah, I kept this.
Who's the guy, maybe a former teammate from yours that, and maybe it's Brady or maybe it's these guys you played with at Kansas State that you really, that ended up having a really good career, and you always felt really good for them, and it was fun to turn on the TV and watch them play every Sunday?
That's an easy question. Darren Sproles,
oh, yeah.
My running back that, I blocked for him for 2 years at Kansas State. Heck, he had probably a decade plus, I think, career in the NFL. And just a week ago, 2 weeks ago, he's been inducted to the College Football Hall of Fame. So easy there. That guy stands about 5'6", 5'7", and the things that he did on Saturdays and Sundays, by far the best running back that I've ever blocked for, and probably one of the best I've ever seen. Obviously, his numbers in the NFL, as far as running back is concerned, aren't up there, but all purpose, that guy, he was an absolute stud.
Oh, yeah. He was one of my favorite players to watch. He was like a human video game out there.
Oh, and he never, it's probably his size kind of helped him out. You never saw him take a big hit. Either he saw it or before they get it, or he just bounced off of it. Watching some of the highlights, that they posted when he made the College Football Hall of Fame, and knowing that I was somewhere in those highlights and the amazing runs that he had, kind of brought goosebumps back, and was a really proud moment. I remember I text guys that I played with Kansas State and, said, this is awesome kind of thing. So, yeah, definitely Darren Sproles without a doubt.
Did you guys beat Iowa State when you were there? What was your record against Cyclones?
4-1.
Played 5 times. Did you redshirt?
I redshirted. Yep. So the 4 years that I played was 3-1.
Okay.
Yep. And really, I would give back the 3 wins for the loss because the loss was on my senior day. So at home.
Ooh.
So, yeah. So I know you had Woodley on a couple of weeks ago. I got him at Dowling Valley, but his alma mater got me on senior day. So it kind of works out.
Yeah. So, John, what's your prediction? Like when you're turning on the Super Bowl, you got Patrick Mahomes versus, Tom Brady. What's your call if you're putting money on it?
Without money, I'm not betting against Tom Brady. He's just proven, obviously. I mean, what is it? I think it's number 10 Super Bowl. He's won
Right.
6. So he's won the majority of the ones that he's been in. If I'm a betting man, the Chiefs have a lot of weapons, and they have Mahomes. So, if money talks, I'm going with the Chiefs. But I wouldn't be surprised if the old man, pulls it out.
The Chiefs, they're missing. You're an offensive lineman, right? They're missing. What was his name? Eric
Fisher.
Eric Fisher.
Yeah.
Right. How big of an impact is that going to have on the Chiefs?
Well, heck, you're talking about I think he was first overall a few years ago.
First overall selection.
Left tackle, blind side. But you have Andy Reid. That guy, no matter who he sticks in offensive line or anywhere on offense, whether he's with the Eagles or with Chiefs, their backups are probably better than the majority of backups in the NFL. So I'm sure they've got a plan. And you have Mahomes. I mean, that guy, he can escape a lot of things with his legs. And you don't have to talk about his arm much. It speaks for itself. So I think he'll be fine. I'm sure Tampa Bay knows it, obviously, and they've had some schemes to try to confuse that left side. So it'll be interesting to see if they disrupt that left side and disrupt Mahomes, but I'm sure they'll have a plan.
So before we wrap it up here, John, what was that like to get cut? Because you ended up getting cut by the Patriots.
I got cut 3 times. Let's be honest, I got cut 3 times. The Patriots, again, classy organization. They brought me up to the office and said, cliche of just not going to work out kind of thing. I will say they did fly me back home first class. Nobody else did that. So again, they do the small things well. I will say my first time getting cut was with the Panthers. That's the team that I came out with, free agents out of college. And they let it was after the last preseason game and final cut, and staying in a hotel, and it was about 5:00 in the morning, and I get the knock. So I didn't know it was good. I knew at that point it wasn't good. I didn't answer the door. They went away, but they came back about 5 minutes later. So, but everybody's professional once you get inside, and they let you go. But when you're kind of a journeyman, a dime a dozen offensive lineman, you got to pick yourself up, knowing that there's an opportunity, five spots open on every team. So, it's just a part of the business, and you got to accept it. It is hard, because you work so hard, especially you're the first time. But it is what it is, and I wouldn't trade it for the world.
When did you know it was over?
When you get cut 3 times, like I said before, you're a lineman. I didn't have the big name attached to myself. In the grind, granted, I didn't play much after college as far as NFL, but, the grind gets you. It's a mental thing. And luckily I went to college and got degrees. And so I had, decided, corporate world of calling and went that way. And, the silver lining is between the Panthers and Giants. I met my wife. So, we were just dating at that time. So, that's kind of not one thing or an event said, it's over, but just kind of kind of saw that's writing on the wall and just decided to, move on.
So on that first class flight home from the Patriots, you're thinking, I can't wait to get working in the insurance world.
No, that probably came a few months after. No, that probably came a few months after. And when you don't have many calls coming, that kind of tells you, it might be time to move on. So, but yeah, that's, I did have a couple drinks, I will tell you that. So that kind of helped out.
Well, look at us now, John. We're both, washed up former athletes, working for the same company, and we're both happy, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, John, thanks for jumping on here. It is your day off, so I appreciate it here. Good luck with smoking the meat, and happy birthday to the twins tomorrow.
You too, and congrats on the new addition to the fam.
Hey guys, thanks once again to listening to today's episode of the Moonlight Graham Show. And even though I do most of the interviews here on the podcast, there is a ton of work that happens behind the scenes that you guys don't see that make each episode possible. So I got to give a shout out to the Moonlight Graham Show team. First of all, Brian Sandvig, our producer. Brian does all of the post-production work, and in real life, he's not just a podcast producer, he's also a real estate agent. So if you're looking to buy or sell a home down in the Kansas or Missouri areas, give Brian Sandvig a call. Next guy on that list is Brendan Gargano. Brendan does all of our design and artwork here on the podcast. He's one of the most talented artists I've ever met, and I love all of his work. If you need any help on the design side with logos or anything like that, give Brendan Gargano a call. The next guy on that list is Andy Flattery, my older brother. Andy, of course, has done some of the interviews here on the podcast. He also is a certified financial planner. He owns a business called Simple Wealth Planning. If you need any help in that area, check Andy Flattery out. And then, of course, the trusty co-host Tom Griffin and my younger brother Neil Flattery. Those guys are just busy being husbands, being fathers, they're family men, but also they do a ton of work here on the show. So thanks again for listening. We really appreciate you guys subscribing and supporting the Moonlight Graham Show.